the first reason, I think, why investors are concerned about the efficacy of their savings in conventional instruments. But it gets worse, of course. The next is debt and deficits. And this is arithmetic again, too. We have the dubious honor of having crossed $30 trillion in on-balance sheet liabilities. Admittedly, only $22 trillion net of counterfeiting. In other words, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet is $8 trillion. That was printed up. So, but let's use the 30 trillion. It's their number. But more importantly, Robert, and you and I are partly to blame, the net present value of off-balance sheet liabilities, entitlements, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all that stuff. Not some cranky-old libertarian, but rather the Congressional Budget Office suggests that the net present value off-balance sheet liabilities of the U.S. government, not state and local governments, just the federal government, is $120 trillion.
Peace, blessings, and respect, family. You know what I'm saying? Today is March 20th, 2022. It's been a crazy week. It's been a very active and busy week dealing with the metals. I'm sure you've seen the price go up and the price get knocked back down, and they're doing everything they can to suppress those numbers. But, you know, there's a few video clips that I'm going to share with you today that touch on those topics, as well as giving us another update, someone else's perspective, or the information that's been released on what the actual value of gold may actually be. So in this clip, one of the people mentioned that the total U.S. debt, what's on the book as well as what's not on the book, is somewhere right around $120 trillion. So once again, if you take 120 trillion and divide it by 286 million, which is the total number of ounces of gold that the U.S. claims to have, then you get a pretty good estimate of the value of the price of 1 ounce of gold. And if memory serves me correctly, that's right about $400,000 an ounce. So if, let's say, the gold was revalued at $400,000 an ounce, well, silver, based on, you know, the working numbers that we use these days, if you say that silver was roughly 10% of gold, so if gold is 400,000 and 10% of 400,000 is what? That'd be the troy ounce, the price of 1 troy ounce of silver. So let's see what it do.
I don't actually remember, so much, issues going around the world. The world seems to be so unstable right now. It's just, you look at Latin America, United States, Canada, now Eastern Europe, Asia. There's messes all over the place. No wonder why the central banks have been buying so much gold over the last year or two. Obviously they know there's something up, and this big reset or whatever is planned by these super elite. Maybe this whole Russian invasion was part of the plan. Who knows? They seem to be leaving Putin alone, despite the threats that they were, suggesting prior to this invasion. Now that he's invaded, they're all backing off and saying, okay, well, let's give it a month and see what happens. And, so it's pretty strange. You just kind of wonder whether this is all just part of the whole game that all these politicians are playing.
And, what I also think is really interesting is when we talk about gold, most people are referring to the nominal spot price, which is a contract price, right? Can you just kind of expand on that a bit?
Yes, I definitely can. Now, the gold price is not the same as the price of gold.
Exactly.
The gold price that you see on the screen is a paper price that has nothing to do with the real price of gold or the value of gold. Sadly, you're dealing here with an instrument where 95% of the daily turnover is in paper. And therefore, the price determination and price discovery is non-existent. This price we're seeing in gold has nothing to do with the real market. So when we are seeing gold coming down, and we've seen enough of these corrections over the last few years.
Even over the last few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time it reaches a level, they hit it straight away. And that's, and of course, we, like you, we're not seeing any sellers in the physical market. The physical market is not selling. Right. It's just the paper market where they're speculating and manipulating the gold price. And therefore, the people who actually understand the role of gold and the role of physical gold, they don't worry about the price on a daily basis. It's so easy. We can go back 5,000 years, and we go back 2,000 years, and we go back 100 years, and it's all the same. Gold is not an exciting investment. But it's not a Bitcoin. Gold is just the only money that has survived in history, and the only money that reflects stable purchasing power.
Right.
And as we know, an ounce of gold has bought the same the suit for a man or any cereal. The price has been the same for thousands of years, measured in gold. So that all gold does. I wrote in an article recently, don't buy gold if there are government surpluses, and if government debt and private debt doesn't go up more than inflation, and if there is sound monetary policy and no money printing. And of course, if inflation is zero or virtually zero, remember that even at 2% inflation, which is a ridiculous target that many countries have, US, Europe, many European.
No, now they're all going to an average.
Yeah. That means that prices double every 36 years.
Yeah.
2% inflation.
If they actually hit that.
And is that desirable? And we know inflation is much bigger than that. So if all of those conditions are met, you shouldn't own gold. But right now it's the opposite. Debt is absolutely going up exponentially. Deficits, as we said, U.S. deficit, half of the budget spending is actually a deficit. And interest rates are manipulated low. And bond prices are massive, and it's all because of this manipulation. You haven't got any of the conditions here that would satisfy not owning gold. On the contrary, you have all the conditions that will make gold absolutely go crazy at some point. But we're not buying it for that. We're buying it to protect what we have. We're not worried about if gold. I always say, don't wish gold to go to 10,000, 100,000, 100 million, or 100 trillion like in the Weimar Republic, because if it does, life is not going to be as pleasant as it is now. Yeah. So don't wish for it, but be prepared that it could, and therefore you should be protected. And that's really what we are looking at here. Don't look at gold as an investment that you want to go up. Just as pure protection against a totally sick monetary and financial system.
What's poppin' with you? It's your boy J-Dub the King. When I need my precious metals, I go and holler at my people at True Dinero Group for your precious metals like in silver, 0.999 fine silver. And they got them gold bags, y'all. 100% pure gold in these mugs. Can't beat it. Holla at your boy. Ha.
Would you rather have paper or gold?
The negative real interest rate that I suffer to be an option premium. Because the cash gives me the tools and the courage to take advantage of any future crisis in confidence or crisis in liquidity. And I actually think that a crisis, while not a certainty, is a probability. So I understand that on my cash holdings, I'm losing 4 or 5% a year in purchasing power. But I think the circumstance might come about in the next 2 or 3 years where the consequence of having that cash is 50, 60, or 100% returns on capital employed by deploying that cash.
I don't save cash. I save gold and silver. And if I ever need the cash, I think gold and silver are liquid.
No, gold and silver are extremely liquid.